Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here today for our Planet of Bretheda solar system, also known as the Pact World System. We come off the back of Starfinder 2e playtest release, but at the same time there is no updates to the setting we need to worry about, at least for this episode. So let's look at the second of our two gas giants, Bretheda. I wanted Bretheda. Bretheda is the second gas giant in the Pact World System and the largest planet throughout. The planet is constantly circled by storms which can last for centuries or longer. Heck, one of the storms has been raging since the time of Pathfinder. Like Lair, Bretheda is also surrounded by several moons, but somehow has managed to maintain an even more diverse group of life forms than its neighbor, earning it the nickname of the Cradle. The main species of the planet are jellyfish-like creatures known as Barathu. They, as abominations and said to be the first time an abomination is a common ancestry, they have a physiology meant to adapt. This not only allows them to change their own bodies, but also combine with other Barathas into what are known as conglomerations. As they get older, they spend less and less time as individuals and more as a collective. They are not the only ancestries on the planet, though, also of note being the Han. These spur-like beings use air sacs to fly throughout the atmosphere. They are traditionalist people, eschewing both advanced technology as well as the outside contact, though some become interested in the outside and travel like anyone else at the cost of never being able to go home again. Which brings us to our first side tangent, the part of the show where I talk about more gods and will never change. There has been change in the main 20 deities of Starfinder recently, losing 5 and gaining 5. However, ironically, one who has not changed is the strongest faith among the Barathas, Horus, the agent of change, deity of adaptation, evolution, and natural selection. Horus himself saw it as any other single-cell organism, but managed to adapt the natural ability of organic creatures to change, to evolve into an ever-changing deity. He embodies the randomness of evolution, but also the purposeful steps taken to gain certain adaptations and changes. Because of this, biotechnicians, scientists, and those who embrace augmentations of the body are half-as worshippers, alongside xenodruids and the Green Faith. As you might imagine, a planet of creatures who can combine and break away at will, no formal government was needed to keep the peace. However, when interaction with the outside world became more and more necessary, a group of Baratha combined into a being known as Confluence, whose entire purpose was to interact with the outsiders as the stand-in for local government. Confluence is an enigmatic being, one who seems to have powers that not all conglomerations have, like the individual pieces still acting as part of the whole as opposed to their own individual when broken away. And with communications to the outside, several corporations began to flourish among the Baratha, especially as their malleable bodies quickly made the planet the greatest creator of biotech in the solar system. Which brings us to our second side tangent, biotech. Biotech does not really need an introduction. It is technology made of the biological as opposed to the technological. But it is not just biographs and interesting medicines like some people might think. For example, a biochef can grow specialty foods or drinks in minutes. Special yeast can grow buildings back together after a devastating storm. Specialty parasites can sit within one's skin, eating the dead away and secreting healing ooze, over time regrowing damaged body parts, maybe even entire limbs. That said, corporations tend to buy any good ideas and place worse products on the market or into tools of war, as corporations do regardless of the field in question. So, now that we've got the basics out of the way, let's actually take a look at the planet. There's a lot here, so let us jump right in. The capital, as you might call it, is Trillium. It's a capital in question marks because it is made for the benefit of visitors and not for the planet's natives. This is a cosmopolitan city where confluence can be always found nearby, and therefore allows for both off-world politics and for visitors to experience at least part of the planet. The city is also home to the greatest non-Barathu biotech firm, Irath Incorporated. Other cities or places of note across the planet include Ebitheria, a city entirely organic and known for its temple to Horus, the Pact World's greatest biotech school of Soy Solus Academy, the Biotech headquarters known as Silver Sail, and the emergency quarantine/hospital of Lair. But Confluence is not the only conglomeration of note. We also have our third side tangent, Sophith Corporation. Sophith is known for being highly xenophobic and works to outdo anything created by outsiders. In fact, any other species which gets too close to its main body tends to be used as test subjects for the biomedical creations of the creature, which is a leading provider of being one of the largest markets of biotech from Barathu's corporations, so that's saying something. That said, its practices have led to it being censored by Confluence, and that is not even going into the rumors that Sophith is looking for a way to make mergers between Barathus permanent. Outside of large cities, there's also the nesting clouds, the traditional home for the Ahan where they nest. They have worked hard to ensure these locations are kept secret, even while now trying to keep technological expansions in satellite imaging away from them. There's also a bunch of constant storms known as the Bifsen Run, now made into an annual race. Speaking of storms, the one known as the Eye of the Ancients was old during Pathfinder times, and it's still the largest storm on Bretheda to this day. Likely of all, there are several moons which orbit the planet. Going through with the minor ones first, we have Thaxis, a mysterious moon which appeared during the gap. What is mysterious is that the layers of ice and blue worms upon it match some of the descriptions of Galorian's moon. Chamari is tiny, but is home to the oldest known shrine to Abari. Speaking of moons covered in shrines, Yashu Indri has been taken over by mystics to build shrines to lost and abandoned gods, working to cover the entire surface. Continuing on a trip around the moons, we find ourselves with the 5 major ones. Starting with the moon Veros, which is mostly uninhabited, save for fire elementals who reside in the lava pools. Nothing but a planet of volcanic activity. To the point that it is said that the planet shall still maintain its heat long after the sun has gone out. That is also a fair bit of tidal heating, which comes from its orbit around Bretheda, so definitely hot. However, there are also various gemstones which go just under the planet's surface, which has led to the moon to be the perfect location for a prison camp, known as Valsfor, where those of construct ancestries can start digging. From lava to poison, we find ourselves on Trist. This planet has a constant radioactive energy coming off of it, keeping most life forms from being able to live there. There were stories of the planet's native species being strange one- or two-dimensional creatures, but they are nowhere to be seen in Starfinder. Instead, various undead have set themselves up in the city of Ferrain and are petitioning to become members of the Pact Worlds. However, Eox stands in their way, claiming that they are actually criminals. And some reactionaries in the Pact Worlds claim the group is actually part of Corpse Fleet. Without evidence, of course, because that's how racism goes. Anyway, we have one more moon, Witcher of Life, but neither is a member of or protectorate of the Pact Worlds. Daikon. Daikon is a moon shaped like a gemstone and home to an entire ecosystem of silicon-based lifeforms. This includes the Orgos, silicon-based creatures most closely described to tanks. The likely reason they have no Pact World representation is that they never really cared about other creatures, just in forming networks with themselves to solve advanced scientific questions all while roaming their planet. That said, in Pact World times, they now have Ikanes, an academy, institution / spaceport devoted to having the most intelligent species across all the galaxy meet to question incredibly complex problems. There are also the mysterious oscillation fields, a field of crystals which vibrate, and legends tell that if you walk a certain path through it, you come out the other side a changed man. Now for the only Bretheda moon to actually be a full Pact World member, we have Calo Moi. The moon is completely covered in water and ice, and the deep oceans sit far beneath it. It is here that the Calo live, bat-shaped aquatic creatures who have little to no skeletal structure. They are patrons of the arts and fashion, and their underwater cities are immaculate. The largest of these is Grand Inza, the fashion capital of the Pact Worlds, and where many creatures go to break away from some of the tired trends that other Pact Worlds lock themselves to. And as for the final moon, and protectorate, we have Moata. Moata is the largest moon and is a forest world, and home to the creatures known as Morakoi. These monkey creatures have 7 genders and are typically traditionalists. And they've done all they can to avoid taking part in the Pact Worlds. Of course, they not only have to deal with some leaving to explore the worlds, but also off-worlders flying their shuttles onto the planet, specifically in the spaceport city of Ha-Koi. But further, also have them trying to harvest materials from their forests, including the largest of Stay Zenith. At this point, there are massive protests in order to keep outsiders away, once and for all. Which brings us to our last side tangent, a closer look at the Morakoi. These are monkey-like creatures whose hair creates echolocation to sense the general idea of the environment around them, as well as having compound eyes and a prehensile tail. But the most famed features are that they have 7 sexes, each used in reproduction. Ilshas, Kashas, and Sushas, each whose genetic code is combined together by the Uisha. It's then transplanted into the clusters to incubate the child, and then Meshas act as marsupial parents. Finally, the Zishas use psychic energy to actually allow this whole process to work. Because of the complex gender system, even a few premature deaths can be catastrophic, which is one of the reasons they have worked to maintain their tribal hunter and gatherer lifestyle. Though again, it's not like outsiders care enough to leave their world alone. Which brings us to the end of today's episode. Side note, I was really enjoying all the new releases we received earlier this month, with the amazing Pray for Death, the first killings of the great adventure path in Cotton Call, and of course the first look at Starfinder 2e, especially with the changing of the gods. Cannot wait to see that in full explanation, or is it as simple as the new guy surpassed as the Senran Aomade in popularity? Either way, next week, we return back to Galorian, though the tech is going to stay around for a little while longer. See you then.